appreciate your patience as I'm stepping in to run one of these and normally I just do the speaking part. So I appreciate your patience in advance if I'm all a little bit behind on some of the website moving around things, but I'll do my best and we'll get you guys through this as well. As you guys know, the purpose of these calls is really just to make sure we're all on the same page moving forward into the softball season. If you have any regional specific questions, if you can hold those till the end, that'd be fantastic so that we can, and we'll stay on and answer some of those questions as well. I am sure that we are going to get a lot of questions, and I know hopefully you guys have the agenda with you, just about kind of what our updates are with COVID-19, our return to play, all those kinds of things. So just as a reminder, all of our competitions, practices, etc., everything's canceled till May 31st. You are more than welcome to reach out to your teams via email, phone calls, Zoom meetings, however you want to, but we've canceled all in-person trainings and competitions until May 31st. Just so that you guys know, you should have also received an email from Megan. There was a great video when Megan shared the information about kind of some of our cancellations. We did also cancel all of our competitions through June 30th. We are also working very diligently on a return to play policy and a process for what that looks like. Obviously, some of that stuff is all unknown, but we do have a task force put together that'll be working with the CDC, following those recommendations, as well as the state and county recommendations. We know how important the trainings and practices are to our athletes. So we really want to get you guys back out there. Again, we're doing what we can. If we come up with a policy that's something you are not comfortable with, that's your choice as well. We can touch base with that on a case-by-case basis, but we really want to do what we can to try to get athletes back out practicing as we kind of gear up for the summer season. Just so you guys are also aware, we cannot sign any certificates of insurance until July 1st. So if you guys are looking for practice fields and those kinds of things, we can't do anything. Our hands are tied till July 1, okay? We do appreciate your patience and flexibility. We may be moving some of our regional events later. I know the Southwest one the Southeast one just got pushed back, so we'll touch base on that later. But we do appreciate your flexibility with that. You know, based on how things are going to pan out, we will also be flexible with some training pieces and work with you guys on some of those items. If at any time you guys have questions, you can always reach out to myself, Jeff Franklin, or your regional managers about any of the return to play information. But like I said, we are as excited as you guys are to try to be able to get something for the athletes, even if it's small practice, kind of whatever that looks like. We've got a bunch of different information from a bunch of different agencies coming in on that. So we will be working diligently on that. Does anyone have any questions on that piece? Great. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and move forward. I'm going to share my screen, so if you can be patient just for 1 second. I'm going to move forward to our website. We are well aware that our website has had some challenges. I'm sorry. Get that out of the way. That our website has had some challenges for you guys. It's not always been the most user-friendly. So we want you to know that we are working on that. We are hoping that there's been a ton of progress on our website, and we are looking forward to continuing to make this easier for you guys to use. Okay, so if you go to our main website, you'll see all of our normal items up here scrolling through. We have a stakeholder survey. If you haven't taken that, I encourage you guys to go ahead and take that. It's information about our strategic plan moving forward. There's some coronavirus updates on there, information on checking off the tax box, as well as some SoCo at home information. And I'll touch on that in a little bit. But before we get started, I do want to say that we have updated our regional pages. So you can go ahead and go to, About Us, scroll down to regions, and then click on which region you have, okay? this is what your regional page will look like from now on. You'll have your regional calendar here. So you can click right here to get your regional calendar to know exactly what events are taking place. These events are updated on a daily basis. So if we have any changes, it's something that we are updating on here as well, okay? So what you will do, my computer decides to let me work. You'll see that all of the Denver regional events are going to be listed down here. So for example, we've got the Denver Regional Summer Classic tennis event taking place here, well as the bocce and softball and golf. While those are all on the same dates, we're all treating them separate as they're all at separate venues, okay? There's a little bit of information about it here. When you click here on Find Out More, that will take you directly to the fact sheet or to the calendar invite. This is a great resource to send to your families, your teams. Everything that we need will be on this web. Everything you guys need for the competition will be on this website. There's our time and our date. And then we do have our fact sheet listed here as well. Okay, so we can click right there and our fact sheet pops up for the Denver Regional Tennis Competition eventually. And this will have all the information on it. The overview of the schedule, when entry forms are due, where they're due to, all of that kind of information on there. If we go back over here, we'll see that we're linked directly to where the event takes place with some maps. So this is going to be very helpful for you guys moving forward. Okay. Any questions on that? Okay. I'm going to go back to the Denver Regional. Nope, that's not where I went. Sorry about that. I'm going to go back to the Denver Regional page and just show you a few more items on here. Once these events are completed, this will go away and then the most recent event will pop up at the top of your screen up there. Okay, and again, these are just regional events. Okay, we'll have a similar outlook for state, but these are all regional events. As you scroll down, if you click down here for entries, this will take you directly to our Coach Handbook by Sport page. So this will be easy for you to just come down here, find your softball entry, your softball section, and here's everything you'll need to know for softball. We're going to touch on those later. I'm not going to go through all those right now. Down here, we also have information on the required preseason calls. The summer and fall ones have all been set up. Just a note on the time frame, we will be moving in the fall, we will be moving these back to evening calls, as hopefully everything will get a little bit more back to normal and we'll all be back to kind of our regular schedules. So that will change back in the evening as well. Here's a link for our online athlete application information, which we'll also touch on later. And then there's a couple of items down here. The first one here is if you are in search of new uniforms, we have an amazing partnership with Spectrum, who's one of our wonderful sponsors, and they are actually sponsoring local programs. So there are applications on here, application deadlines for each season. Information is all on here. We ask you to be as specific as possible. Once you submit these and the kind of the period while it's happening has ended, our team will get together and pick the winner and let you know if you guys are recipients of that. The other item down here that I wanted to touch base on quickly is a years involved survey. This is something we've just been trying to track. We have some information on how long people have been involved, but you guys know better than anyone how long you've been involved. So if you guys could go ahead and click here, that'll take you to a years involved survey and we'll get that information back. We really are wanting to be mindful of tracking all of that information. So hopefully if you haven't done that already, you guys can go ahead and do that. And again, that's on your regional webpage, okay? We have our lovely picture of our regional manager here, as well as phone number and a link to an email. And then down here, you can view all the regions or click over to the state competitions. Okay, any questions on any of those items? Great, there's one more thing I want to touch base on. It is our SoCo at home resources. So we are very aware that it's tough for everyone to be at home right now. It's hard to stay healthy. It's hard to stay connected. It's hard to do all those things. So we developed the SoCo at Home page. So we've got information here on our virtual training page, the Southwest Border Battle, and the School of Strength that's going on, as well as some coaching, family, and athlete leadership resources. I'm going to click on this virtual training page here. And if you're not familiar with it, I really encourage you to check it out. Even if we are back in full swing, our staff has worked really hard on making sure that we've got a calendar, a workout calendar for the seasons. So we've got our spring season right here, where we have various workouts. And then there's some sport-specific drills listed here as well. We also, you can click over on the next tab, and we've got our summer season workouts. So then there's a calendar up here that'll tell you exactly which workout to do on which day and which drills to do if you're going to follow this program. Okay. It's a great way for the athletes to stay involved. It's a great way for the athletes to stay active. And it's just really a great way for the athletes to stay a little bit more connected if they're kind of working on the same thing. Again, I encourage you to use this even if you're not, even if we are full back to practice. It's a good way to add in some additional workouts and various things like that. Do we have any other questions on those items that I touched base on? Great. I'm going to go ahead and turn things over to Kyle, who will touch base on the dates of regional and state events.
Thank you. Just want to go over some important dates for you guys. First off, the Northeast Regional Summer Classic will be held Saturday, July 18th at Garden Acres Park in Longmont. Please make sure that all entries are in to Lauren on Monday, July 6th. For your Western Regional Summer Classic, that'll be Saturday, August 8th in Grand Junction. Please make sure all entries are into Michelle by Wednesday, July 24th. The Southeast Regional Summer Classic just got changed. It'll be Saturday and Sunday, August 1st and 2nd. It'll still be held at Memorial Park in Colorado Springs. Please make sure that all entries are due to Tasha and myself by July 20th. The Denver Regional Summer Classic, Adrian said he will not be able to hold the tournament on July 18th at Jeffco Parks for softball. He is currently looking into other options. This would include moving it to Douglas County on the same or at a later date. He is also taking on the possibility of joining the Southeast Summer Classic down here at Memorial Park on August 1st or 2nd. We promise we will keep you guys updated as we find out more information on that. And please reach out to Adrian if you have any questions. State games, that'll be for softball, it'll be Sunday, August 23rd at Leon Young Sports Complex here in Colorado Springs. All entries will be due to your regional managers, and we will communicate, and if you need be, communicate with Susan as well on that. As we always do, you must attend a regional competition to go to state, as well as our 8 weeks of practice before state as well. So I'm going to, does anyone have any questions on that? Sorry, before I move on. Perfect. I'm going to hand things over to Tasha, and she's going to go over some forms for you guys.
Thank you, Kyle. Susan, do you mind sharing your screen again?
Yep.
Perfect. Thank you. So we're going to go ahead and go over softball forms. In reaching these forms, you're going to want to go to our SoCo website, go to Get Involved, Coach, click on that, and you're going to scroll down. And here you'll find a button called Coaching Resources. You'll click on that and then scroll down again to Coach Handbook by Sport. We'll click on that. And then you're going to scroll all the way down as in alphabetical order to softball. And here we're going to talk about our skills form. And right here, you'll see she'll click on individual skills form. So here we have combined the coaching roster and the athlete roster into one click for you guys. So you don't have to click on two links anymore. So the very first page is the coaching roster. Here you'll put in all of your coaches, head coaches, assistant coaches, the information, how we can reach you on day of competition in case of an emergency. This is not for unified partners, coaches only. On the second page, this is where you'll put in all of your athletes and your unified partners. So on the top, we'll refill in what region you're in, your coach's name, email, and contacts, and then your team name. You'll go down, you can put in your athletes by alphabetical order if you want. You can put them in however order you'd like, by partners, athletes. Make sure you put in the date of birth for us, please. That way we make sure we have the right athlete with the right date of birth. Put in there if they are individual or team skills, and then your team name if they are a part of a team skills group. Then you will put in the entry score, which we'll go over the form on how to score them in a minute, and if they are wheelchair, yes or no. Moving on to the skills form on how to score them. We have that also within the coaching resources page. So every time you click on one of these links, it'll open up a new tab. If you guys just go back to the old tab, you'll find all of the list of forms that you need. So this form, it was created by the competitive staff to help you guys score your athletes when thinking about individual skills. So this way we make sure we put them in the appropriate areas so that they're competing against other athletes of the same abilities. So it has every event that we do, and it walks you through step by step on how to score them and how we score at competition. Does anybody have any questions about that? Perfect. So we'll move on to team entry forms now. And there are a couple new things that we want to talk about on the team form and bring your attention to. So similar to the individual skills, you'll have a coach roster at the top and your athlete roster at the bottom with just one click. So you'll pick your region, your team name, head coach name, information to reach you guys at, phone number and email, and all of your assistant coaches go on this. Please no unified partners. The second page is for your athletes and unified partners. We'll refill in the information again on how we can reach you the day of and your team name. At the top, you also want to make sure you click unified or traditional teams. So it's on the top right-hand side. After that, you can put in all of your athlete names, whether they're a partner or an athlete, their gender, and please their date of birth. Make sure that we get the right person with the right date of birth, and then their overall rating. They don't all have to be the same. You can have athletes of different abilities within a scope. This is just to have for our knowledge and for yours. We want to know on the right-hand side if you guys are going to be attending state. So yes or no there. If you're a modified softball team, and if you're missing any key players compared from this year to last year. A new addition that we have to this page is your team level with a plus or a minus in between each number. So basically, if you guys are a level 2, but you think you're a high level 2, you're going to circle the plus sign and put an X in the 2 box. If you think you're a low level 3, we're going to mark the 3 box and then circle the negative sign. This gives us a really good idea whenever we get into competitions where we unfortunately can't match you up with the same level team and we either have to level you up or level you down. This saves us that extra step of trying to figure out, are you high or are you low? We, of course, will always do our best to match you with a comparable level team. And then the final things that we would want to know is your team strength. Are you stronger than last year, equal, or weaker? And then is there anything unique that we need to know about your team or your athletes in particular? And then if you have a fitness captain, which we're highly encouraging all teams to have, could you put down their name for us in the bottom right-hand box? If you go back to all of the forms on the coach's handbook, we're gonna go look at reviewing levels for your softball teams. It's a rating form. Similar to the skills, this is going to help you place your team within a rating. It's laid out with a lot of conditional logic with partners, athletes, and how it is from a standpoint of looking at your athletes and what are their abilities, how are they playing the game. It helps you figure out what level you should be at without having to guess. Are there any questions with team registration forms? Okay, so now we're going to talk a yes.
Tasha. One is asking about more information on the modified softball teams. And yeah, start there. Modified softball team.
So Susan, do you want to touch on the modified?
Of course.
Thank you.
Modified teams give athletes the opportunity to use a tee if they need it. So for example, if I'm in a modified division and I go up to bat my first time and I swing and I miss every time, the second time I go up, I might be using a tee. So it's a little bit more of a developmental event for some of our, for most of our athletes. It's for some of our athletes who don't quite have that timing down of hitting, of getting the ball when it's pitched to you. So we're giving the athletes the opportunity to use a tee. The entire team can use it. If one person on the team is using it, you would be considered in that modified division. And it's really just an ability to set some of those athletes up for success.
And does that have to do with if no team members are capable of pitching, are we still allowing coach pitch? Or is it just T-ball?
No, we do not allow coach. In the modified division, yes. I'm sorry, I apologize. In the modified division, we do pitch, but that's the only area we offer it. And again, we were really that's really for our athletes that maybe don't have as quick reflexes, or a little bit lower level of the softball players that still have the ability to play, that aren't quite down at the level of athletes for skills.
Okay, then there's one more question. If they have a wheelchair, can they be part of the team skills and have a runner take their place for running?
Yes. Yeah. If they're going to be a part of the team skills, that works. Mm-hmm.
Are you sure? I'm sorry, this is Mark. That was not allowed. That wasn't even allowed in modified.
In skills. Sorry.
Yeah, they're asking about team skills. I'm sorry.
Yep.
I thought we were talking about regular team. I just wanted to add one quick comment and suggestion about the modified. Because last year was my first year with softball, and the modified was really tricky because of expectations. And I guess the first specific thing I'll say is that the umpires didn't know about modified. They didn't have a clue, at least the ones we had, what it meant and how it was supposed to work.
Mm-hmm.
The other problem was that the coaches had really different expectations. In other words, some of them, we were on a modified team, but some of them had already decided, no, we're not going to do it. And if you guys do it, it's cheating, or it's.
Sorry, Mark. I don't mean to interrupt you. If the rest wouldn't mind muting,
she might not even be.
Just those of you guys that are not talking right now, if you guys can go ahead and mute, that would be fantastic. Okay. Sorry. Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah. So no, I was just saying expectations. It was really hard because once the game started, we realized the hard way that some of the coaches who were in a modified division didn't want modified. They didn't want any modified rules for their own players, meaning using a tee at all or allowing a coach to pitch at all. And it was really, really hard to have a good spirited, competitive, fun game. And we were asked, in midstream as the game had started, to stop doing all the modified rules. And some of our players, that meant they couldn't hit the ball at all. They couldn't contribute at all. So I don't know if modified's really rare or if it's just more on paper. But I think that's something we need to talk about.
Okay. And, I think I recall kind of the situation in the game you're talking about, Mark. I think based on that, what we'll do with our modified teams is really, have conversations with those coaches ahead of time.
Yeah.
Make sure that everyone is on the same page and
Yeah.
moving forward.
And it wasn't just that one game. It was all the games.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
And
yeah,
I'll
so
definitely make a note of that. I think as we get modified teams,
yeah.
relatively new to Special Olympics Colorado. We've probably only had it for 1 or 2 years, and I think
Okay.
it was the year we had the most teams in it. To be
Okay.
honest, we didn't have a ton the year before.
Yeah.
So I think as it grows, I think those are great points that you bring up, and that's something that we can address with coaches.
Okay. Thanks.
Yes. Susan and Tasha, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
I just got a quick question too. This is John. Regarding now, is modified, what's the big difference between modified and unified? Last year, I mean, our kids they're very low. We got a couple that can hang and they can do okay, but the majority of them, and we got caught a couple times, not caught. I mean, I just put out there, we had more partners helping the athletes. The partners didn't hit, but they were in the field because when we played a couple teams, we played a team that half the teams were driving and showing up, and they would have killed our kids when they hit a line drive. And if it wasn't for our partners being out there, I mean, our kids would have been hurt. So what is the difference, and what's going to happen with the unified versus modified? And can we have more than 2 partners out there? Because on our team, if we can have 2 separate teams, that would be great. But if we have to have one team, there's a few of our athletes that there's no way in heck that they can even compete. I mean, they get killed by a line drive. I mean, if it's not a ground ball hit right to them, et cetera, et cetera. So, what flexibility are we going to have with putting partners out there? At least, I think last year we only allowed 2, but I mean, heck, I think I had 3 or 4 out there just to save our kids and give them an opportunity to compete and add like they're adding value. So.
Sure. And so there's 2 ways to look at that. It's what we play. If you guys are familiar with buddy baseball, what we offer at Special Olympics is not buddy baseball. So we do not offer the opportunity for every player, every athlete that's out there to have a partner standing right there next to them. We have 10 people in the outfield, and that's splitting up the partners in between that, or in the field when they're playing, and that's splitting up the partners and athletes at that point. That number will stay the same and be consistent. Our modified events typically are for some of our lower level teams. Our level 3 and 4 teams typically are playing in that, where they're not hitting it as hard off the tee as some of our level 1 and 2 teams are. That's kind of one piece of it. The other piece of it really, and I know Tasha will touch on it, so sorry for stepping on it a little bit, is really when we talk about our principles of meaningful involvement. We have individual skills as well as team skills, as well as our unified competition, our traditional athlete competition, and our modified competition. So if the actual gameplay might not be the safest or best for the athletes, we have other options in the individual skills and team skills.
Yeah.
The reason we added team skills was there are a lot of people that wanted that team component with skills. And I'll actually say we did it this year for the first time in basketball with one team, and it was really great. I think it worked out really well for that athlete and that team to be able to participate together, get that team involvement, and then be awarded, still be participating. But that athlete, the athlete that we set up the team skills for, really benefited from that, as opposed to sitting on the bench and not necessarily playing. He really was really able to highlight his skills and watch him shine. So I would encourage you guys to think about that with your softball teams. Softball to me is, I'm always worried that someone's going to get hit with the line ball.
Susan, I'm sorry,
myself,
Susan,
if I'm out there playing, would be worried about that. So we want to make sure that we're putting our athletes first, the safety of our athletes first, and there are options for them to be able to compete. We are definitely opening it up to get our athletes to be able to compete.
Susan, he brings up a really important point, and that is, I was surprised that modified is unified. It makes a lot more sense for me that modified should be traditional. just again, then you've got athletes at a very similar level, and you don't have unified partners up there. Granted, they're hitting off a pitcher, but man, they can hit, and they don't want to hold back, and who knows who they're hitting it to. And yeah, so I don't know. I don't know if modified is unified across the country, across the world, but maybe that's something to think about, that it's only traditional. I don't,
Mhm. And
and
you
at the
know,
right
just
level.
to be quite honest, I think our modified is an adaptation that we made here in Colorado. So
Oh,
I know that other states across the board have something similar to it. I know some have strictly T-ball and
mhm,
pitching. So I think we tried to meld that together. But you make
mhm.
a great point, Mark, and I think it's something we can definitely look into moving forward. And we'll kind of keep note how teams look this year and
Yeah.
from there. So.
Okay.
I do have a quick question as well. This is Renee with on Highland Hills Highland Hills Hawks. Sorry. For some reason, my brain is still stuck in track, even though we didn't have track. So my team traditionally is a modified traditional team. I don't have any partners play during regionals or state. This year, I will probably have a wheelchair with my team. I'm the one that had asked the question about a wheelchair. Are they able to compete with the team? I know he can hit, but he's not going to be able, I don't know if he's going to be able to run. I know he can't run the base because he's paralyzed from the waist down. How can I include him into this? Because he used to play with our Eagles team. His wife played on my team. He played on our upper level team. However, he had an accident where it paralyzed him outside of Special Olympics. So I'm trying to figure out how to be able to bring him back in and to include him with our stuff.
Let's go ahead and touch base offline about that one, Renee. Myself, Adrian,
Okay.
you can kind of get together to figure out what we want to do in that specific situation.
Okay.
Okay, so we're gonna move on to principle of meaningful involvement and partner domination. Susan did a wonderful job of opening that up, and I'll just touch on it just a little bit. So partners that are higher in skill level than the rest of the team should play to the level of the team. So we don't want partners passing constantly to one another. We want to be able to have those partners on our teams so that they can set our athletes up for success and to be enjoying the game within itself. So if we see partners dominating, we would have to take that time out and have a discussion. And obviously that's conversations that you guys can have with your teams prior to competition and work with them on how to include the athletes as much as possible and to work together as a team and not have the athletes play to the level of the partners. You may have any questions on that? Okay, wonderful. So I'm going to turn it back over to Kyle to talk about important rules for softball.
Thank you, Tasha. Susan just clicked on, that is our Special Olympics Colorado rule interpretations right there in our coach's handbook. Just below that was the Special Olympics International ruling. If there is anything that you can't find within the SOCO guidelines, you can refer to the Special Olympic International ruling on things. Just some important rules that we want to go over with you guys to make sure that there aren't any questions going into season. First off, strike mats. I know we had a couple questions on this. If a ball hits the strike mat and or plate and it stays within that arch, that will be considered a strike. So any ball that hits on plate or the strike mat will be considered a strike. For unified teams, the at-bat rotation, where you alternate between athlete and partner, will always be in effect. So no matter what, make sure you're going athlete, partner, throughout your lineup. Again, for unified teams, in both the infield and the outfield, there should be 2 athletes and 2 unified partners in the infield and there should be 2 athletes and 2 unified partners in the outfield. You can have a unified partner as a pitcher, but the catcher has to be an athlete. You cannot have both unified partners as a pitcher catcher. Also in unified for home runs, this is another question that was brought up. There is a 2 home run limit between athletes and partners. For instance, if an athlete hits a home run and then behind him a partner hits a home run, that is it. They've hit their 2 home run limit. Any home run after that is considered an out. If 2 athletes hit a home run, same thing. 2 partners hit a home run, same thing. Just however you get to those 2 home run limit, after that it'll be an out. Please make sure that all athletes are properly equipped. This goes down to helmets and bats. Bats need to be ASA approved. All umpires will be instructed to check bats and helmets before each game. So that way everyone, we're ensuring everyone's safety out there on the field. Any athletes, again, any athletes who are wheelchair users or have assisted walking devices needs to be specified before the competitions. We'd prefer that you would include that in your entry forms. If not, please make sure that you reach out to your regional managers or Susan as early as possible, just so that we can work things out. Please, under no circumstance are you allowed to move the pitcher's mound. No exceptions whatsoever. Make sure that it stays at the proper distance that it's supposed to be at, and that pitchers are pitching from that mound at that proper distance as well. This is 100% for the pitcher's safety. Whether if it's a unified partner, coach, or athlete up there, we are looking out for the safety of the pitcher, and that is why we ask that you never move the pitching mound. For modified players, we touched on this a little bit. They can use a tee or they can ask for coach pitch. Again, the distance of the pitcher's mound does not change no matter who's coaching, whether if it's off a tee or anything. And we have a new rule that we are putting in place this year, and that is an 8-run per inning per team rule maximum. So just to clear things up on this end, let's say you have 7 runs in this inning and you have 2 runners on base, and your athlete gets a base hit and those 2 runners come across and touch home plate, we will only count that 8th run. That 9th run will not count. So the second that 8th run comes across the plate, that's it. No more runs will be counted, and that'll be the maximum no matter what. So those are the rules. Again, you guys can find all these rules here as Susan is showing on the website. Feel free to print them off, go through them more thoroughly if you wish, and let us know of any questions that you might have. I'm going to pass things back over to Tasha, and she's going to go over the medical application and Class A forms.
Thank you. So everyone should have received by now an email from your regional manager with your summer coach's email to include all up-to-date information and your athlete and coaches and unified partners paperwork needs. Obviously, we know right now it's really tough for your athletes to get in to see a physician. We just ask that you communicate that with us. If something's not quite working out with getting in to see them, we will handle that on a case-by-case basis. So as of January 1, 2020, we have gone completely online with all athlete applications. So you can find that for yourself and your athletes by going to our SoCo webpage, clicking on Get Involved, and then go down to Athletes. Susan, do you mind clicking on Athletes?
Yep, sorry about that.
Thank you. No, you're fine. And then up pops a Become an Athlete link. And everything for this application is completely done on this website, and it's used with conditional logic. So what you would do for your athletes is go to the red bar that says Complete Our Athlete Application here. If your athletes want, they can print out the physician form prior to going in to see their physician, or they can pull this web page up on their phone, hand it to the doctor, or they open up their computer, go to this web page, and it can be completed right then and there in the office. All that they have to do once they complete it is click save and continue later, and the athletes can finish it at home or with you. So you would click here to see if they're athlete unified partner. And then from there, it doesn't let you move on until you've completed all of the steps leading up to downloading the physical examination form. So if you click on that bar, it'll automatically auto-populate the page for them to print out, and then for the doctor to fill it out right then and there and submit it. So once that's complete, you can go back, and then there is a tutorial for the doctor, and also a place for you to put in, or have your athlete put in your email as a coach. We are highly recommending this because as we clean up our GMS system, you guys constantly hear from us as RMs, we haven't received this person's medical application. Then you say it was submitted, so on and so forth, time ago. If you put in your email, this, once it's completed, will be emailed directly to you as well as our state office. So if it ever happens again that we're saying we're missing Johnny's medical application, you can forward us that email and then we're good to go. What we want to avoid is having this happen over and over again, which is why we are now switching to the online application, and we're hoping within the next 3 years we won't have any issues with medicals, or very little issues at that. We do recommend that athletes follow, and Unified Partners follow this step by step and avoid skipping around so they don't miss any information. It will erase answers if you do skip around, and therefore it would not be a complete application, and we would have to kick it back for them to complete it again. The athletes can come and go from this over, I believe, a 30-day period to complete it. What you do is, as you complete it, you click save and continue later. And then when you come back in, all of your information will be there. Once you enter in your email, there you go. You have 30 days to complete it. You enter in your email and it'll send you the link. So you click on that link, it takes you right back to your application. So next, let's see, we have established a help desk for medical applications. So if you scroll down below, you'll see Susan's hovering over the athlete application help desk. If you want to contact your RMs, we have that information. We can email out to you, as well as business cards that you can keep on hand if you ever have trouble or your athletes have troubles. They are going to be your direct communication for any kind of trouble that you're having with athlete applications. If you contact your RM, we will do our best to answer your question, but ultimately we will defer to the help desk for those questions as well. These applications are still good for 3 years, and as well as the Unified Partners and the coaches applications. Does anybody have any questions about the athlete applications? If you guys have any athletes that have limited access to internet or a computer, please reach out to your RMs. I believe most of us are setting up a computer in our regional office that you guys can make an appointment, come in, and we're more than happy to help your athlete and you out. If you're a more rural location, please look into the libraries when they open back up, or schools. If you have truly a lot of trouble getting access to a computer for your athletes, reach out to your RMs. We'll figure something out with you guys. So I'm going to turn it over to Susan to talk about more state information for you guys.
Great. Thank you so much, Tasha. As I mentioned, the website is getting a little bit revamped. So the competitions page will look a little bit different. You will still go to get involved in competitions. I will still plan on sharing all of our state competition on the website. It's not going to necessarily be housed in this website. This is going to look similar to the regional pages, where we will have the next events that are coming up listed up here. So I'm going to go ahead. We've got August 22nd. We've got that as, whoops, that's not the right one because that's not softball. Sorry about that. We're split up into 2 different days. So we'll go back and we will click on this for August 23rd, and we'll find out more information about softball. This will take us again to the calendar page, and this is where everything that I typically post for you guys will be housed. This is where rosters will be, divisions, final schedules, results. Additionally, this is where we'll have flyers for opening ceremonies. We'll have flyers for healthy athletes, maps, hotel rates. All of that information will be housed here on this page, okay? We do have the fact sheet here, but this will be a great resource, again, for you to share with families, with the athletes, with friends, kind of with anyone that needs the information on it. Everything will be on this page. This is the link that you guys will receive from me to be able to double check rosters and divisions and things like that, okay? As mentioned earlier, we're looking to host our event on August 23rd at Leon Young Sports Complex again, down in Colorado Springs. And the day will run from about 9 to 5, depending on the teams we have. We look forward to having healthy athletes, opening ceremonies, Olympic Town, all those kinds of events to take place again as well. Are there any questions on state softball? Great. Are there any overall questions? No? You can unmute if you'd like to ask questions now. Sorry, I didn't mean to be yelling at everyone before.
I hopped on just a few minutes after you started. I know we're not doing anything until May 31st.
Mhm.
When will do you expect to find out? Is that like we practice in the city park? Is it up to our city?
So we currently have a return to play task force that's working on that. And you know, it's our goal to get you guys out training as soon as we can, as soon as you can. So it'll depend on the CDC guidelines, the state guidelines, the county, city guidelines, and those kinds of things as well.
Oh, good. I was hoping I didn't miss an important starting date or something by hopping on late, but
nope. Unfortunately, we're still fingers crossed, hoping we can get you guys out there training as soon as we can.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other
Hey,
questions?
Susan?
Yes.
Yeah, Susan, it's Ron Becker. On this 2 home run rules, is that out of the park or in the park, or how does it go?
It is regardless. It's just 2 home runs regardless. And again, as a reminder,
Oh, okay.
it's just for a unified competition.
Oh, okay, because I was wondering, because we do have some outfielders that it takes them 5 minutes to get to the fence to get the ball and get thrown in, so that's an automatic home run once it gets past them. So that's why I was wondering if it's in the park or out of the park, the home run rule.
Yep, it's anytime they touch 4, anytime they cross home plate in one at bat, basically, is the best way.
Oh, okay, that's great. Thank you. Yeah.
Hey, Susan, this is Mike.
Yes.
Hey,
Yep, go
in
ahead.
the modified, which coach pitches to the one using the tee, or even the other athletes?
You would pitch to your own team.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem. Any other questions?
Just a quick question on the calendar. I have, it's for August 23rd state, but you're requiring 8 weeks of practice prior to that. So that might become a problem with the modified practice schedule based on the virus, right? So we still are on hold for everything, kind of.
Correct. And Dave, we'll be flexible with that. We'll, you know, obviously if there's a few things we'll look at into hosting the tournament. We want to make sure you guys have enough time to be able to safely practice. And if that magic number is an 8, from our perspective, from our return to play task force, we'll adjust that as needed.
And that's probably likely that
Right.
that might change. Yeah, I was just saying that the time frame might get a little tight. So.
Right, yeah. Any other questions? Great. Well, we'll stay on. The SoCo staff will stay on for a few more minutes. The rest of you can can head on out and either get ready for your next call, which is in 10 minutes, or enjoy the rest of your evening. We appreciate it. We look forward to a great softball season and really look forward to working with you guys and getting everybody back out there as quick as we can. So thank you guys again for your support and your flexibility with everything we're working on.
Thanks for the call. Appreciate it.
No problem. Have a good one.
Hey, Susan, this is Mike again.
Mm-hmm.
A question. Unified Partners, do their applications stay in the system for 3 years too, or do they have to keep renewing that?
Nope, they're good for 3 years, just like the coaches and athletes.
Okay.
Good for 3 years.
Okay, now will you let us know which athletes need physicals and which coaches I think has expired?
Adrian, do you want to touch on that as the Denver regional manager? Did the list? I believe summer lists already went out to teams.
Yeah, they did, and I've gotten a couple messages from coaches that they didn't receive it for whatever reason. I sent it through a new system, our contacts, so it may have gone to junk mail. If you guys check that first, if you don't find it in there, let me know and I'll be able to resend it to you.
Yeah, I checked everything and I haven't received anything in junk mail or anything about who's expired and all that, because as soon as the doctor's office is open, I can get those athletes in there. At least we got the medical instead of waiting for that last minute at competitions or whenever it happens.
Good thing, Mike. Why don't you just shoot me an email and I'll resend you that newsletter.
Okay, thanks, Adrian. Thanks, Susan.
Thanks, man.
Adrian, that's a really good note to make for all regions. If you're not receiving emails from your regional manager, we have started using Constant Contact. So definitely check your junk mail. And once you pull that over to your inbox, you should have no problems whatsoever. But if you're not receiving your summer coaches email, definitely reach out to your regional manager.
Thanks, Tasha.
Okay.
This is Betty Ann Hort. I've got a question. For Loveland, we don't actually have a coach. They dropped off, so we're out. And I'm not sure. I know I saw coach's email come from Lauren McClintock, but I don't see where it lists like who's due for renewing and that kind of thing.
It should have been like at the, I guess, middle range of the email, but I can send it to you directly if you want me to.
Let's see.
It's like under
okay,
medical,
softball, medical, and Class A expiration dates. Do you just click on that?
Yep, that should be it.
So will I go through, will that be my team, like the Loveland athletes individual, or do I have to go kind of search them out?
As individual, so you just have to, it's alphabetized by team, so you can go down to Loveland teams and you'll see all of the athletes and partners there.
Okay.
But yeah, you just have to find your team because it's all the teams in the region.
All right, thank you very much.
No problem.
Thanks for your guys' help. Have a good day.
You too. All right, I think if we're all done, I'm going to go ahead and end the meeting.